Hi, and welcome to this week's Auspicious Agile video blog. This week we're going to take a look at the DevOps Toolchain. This is John Okoro. We're going to, in our series on DevOps, continue this week. We have looked already at what DevOps is and also at the culture change of DevOps, which you can find in one of the written blogs. This week we'll look at the toolchain, which includes all the end-to-end tools that automate and bring together an end-to-end process for DevOps that allows us to quickly and simply deploy and bring things from an agile process of development all the way to production. Now, I will touch on some traditional tools that are also here because traditional teams can use the DevOps toolchain, but primarily I'm going to focus on agile methods in association with it and tools. So planning and project management, we'll start here. And thanks to sources of IncoQ and UpGuard's ebook on the toolchain, as well as some of my own personal experience we'll bring here. For project management, we look at Jira and Asana, Pivotal, Agile ALM tools. You're going to see a lot of these, Trello and Kanban. Also for traditional teams, Microsoft Project, maybe a planning tool as well. Again, I am focusing on Agile teams, but you can use traditional tools as well. Now, let's take a look at next as we go from project management planning and DevOps toolchain next to requirements. So requirements tools can be things as simple as Word and spreadsheets and wikis, and we can also look at other things along those lines. Now, it's best to have something you can automate. Word documents may be tough because you can't automate those so easily. You might look at user stories, which might be in your Agile ALM tool, which should be a way that an Agile team would capture their requirements. Now, in issue tracking, we look at tools here. Could be Jira, which actually is an Agile ALM tool as well. It just depends on how you use it. But tracking issues, you can also look at Zendesk, Visual Studio Online, VS Online, and other tools in that space that allow you to track issues and make sure you're understanding what's happening in your overall environment. Now, from a source control and versioning perspective, we're going to look at quite a few familiar names. Things like Git, and SVN and Microsoft's TFS and CVS, all tools that would be potential version control. We'll also look in a moment, a little bit later, back at the integration you have with CI tools, which is continuous integration. But for the moment, that's our source control versioning. Now let's next take a look at the development environment. So development environment itself, there's quite a few tools at play here. Things like Vagrant and Cloud9 IDE and Code Envy. Docker also could actually be viewed as helping in the development space for being able to containerize and virtualize some of your deployment and even things in the development environment that you're deploying there as well. We'll look more at Docker a little bit later. But so some different development environment tools as you're developing and automating different pieces there. Next, let's go over and let's take a look at continuous integration. Now, continuous integration, a lot of people look at this as kind of a core area of DevOps. Of course, the whole tool chain is important, but continuous integration is going to include things that allow us to do green builds and to be able to build and make sure everything is building successfully. Companies like Microsoft, many Silicon Valley companies have done this for quite a long time. So we're looking at tools here like Drone.io, Jenkins, and TeamCity, and Travis, and others. And one of the key points here is that these are going to actually integrate back into your SVN and your version control software. There should be a tight integration here. So this is going to be a place where we're actually going to see integration between our CI or continuous integration tooling and our source control so that we can do these continuous builds. Okay? So we're doing that. And then we're also looking next at configuration management. So we need to make sure that we have a consistent view of the configuration. We understand that everything is, we look at the manifests and everything that is configured to be sure that everything is in alignment with what we expect in our environment. Tools here might be Puppet or Chef. These are agent-based configuration management tools, so they go out and have a master and an agent, or Ansible and Salt. These are agentless. Also, PowerShell DSC would be another one that might play in the configuration management space. Now, let's go on to monitoring. In the monitoring space, what we see is traditional shell scripts, which you're going to see a lot. Of course, we're looking at the configuration state. We're running and we're scripting some things to look and see that. We might integrate that in. There are some other monitoring pieces and tools that can be used in DevOps Toolchain. Things like Graphite and Logstash and Cabana to visualize some of that as well in the monitoring space, making sure that everything is really where we expect it is, that our configuration is actually not deviating from the baseline, and we want to be able to maintain a baseline and standardize on that as well. Tools like UpGuard help us with that. So discovery is next, looking at our CMDBs, which is our configuration management databases. Now our CMDBs, or configuration management databases, are going to help us to make sure that we actually have complete configuration state and we understand it, it's documented, it's easy for us to understand if there's anything that's differing from the configuration we expect. And so we look at our CMDBs in that space and are able to understand from that perspective. Now we go on and we're going to take a look at deployment. Deployment is another key area in DevOps. A lot of people feel that the ability to deploy quickly and accurately without errors is really especially key in DevOps. So in the space of deployment, and again, this is where you realize some of the benefits of Agile, fast development with Agile, but fast deployment with DevOps. So looking at things like Octopus, ThoughtWorks Go, Packer, Docker, of course, can give us the containerized, virtualized deployment as well. So we have different tools here, and this also ties tightly to continuous delivery, which is something that is kind of a goal that everybody has when they look at DevOps. And so now let's look at collaboration tools, which are also a part of our DevOps toolchain. We need to be able to communicate. We need to be able to understand what's happening at different aspects in time. So we look at things here like we're going to have Campfire. We're going to have Slack, you've probably heard of, and IM tools. We're looking at things like IRC, Relay Chat, of course, Skype and Link and HipChat from Atlassian. And we also have our blogs and our wikis and other things as well. So there's a lot of things that play in this space. Now, let's take a look at a few notes on the DevOps toolchain. First thing that I would like to note is that virtualization containers like Docker, allowing for consistent deployment in almost any environment, are becoming increasingly popular DevOps tools. Another thing is that this is not a comprehensive list that I'm giving you. DevOps tool landscape is constantly changing, and there are new and updated tools introduced frequently. I highly recommend taking a look at different sources. As I said, I reference the UpGuard ebook on this. I referenced InfoQ, referenced some other personal experience. There's a lot of other sources out there to look at, but stay abreast of what's the latest. And thanks for listening, and until next time, stay agile.